What is up, homies? Welcome back to another trailer reaction from Heroes Reforged. We're reacting to the official trailer for The Acolyte. Happy May the 4th, by the way. Very exciting time. I am going to the movies later today to watch The Phantom Menace, and I haven't seen it in the theater since 2012 when they re-released it in 3D, so I'm pretty stoked to go back to the theater and watch it. Also, before we watch this trailer, I should let you know that we will be doing a watch-along of The Acolyte when it comes out on June 4th. We'll have all of our uncut reactions on our Patreon, along with all the other things that we've been watching. Invincible, X-Men 97, the animated series, so much stuff. Check it out. It's all linked down below. Also, the Chexicans podcast is live every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Check the description. We have links for literally everything that we're doing. You cannot miss it. If you do and you don't know what you're doing here, then go to the Discord and ask for help.
There you go. There you go.
Our mods are great. This trailer?
They'll help you. Yes. Ready.
Okay. Yes. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1, go.
Jesus.
Last night,
Spicy.
a Jedi was murdered.
Ooh.
Oh.
The Jedi
I like that.
Oh, cool.
Rad.
justify
Okay.
their galactic dominance in the name of peace. But that peace is a lie.
Huh. Damn,
I mean, they're not
Trinity.
wrong.
Jedi are being hunted.
Whoa. Is that a Kyber crystal?
I trained her. Let me be the one to bring her in.
Oh my god. Okay. Personal.
Time passage. All right.
I sense this is only a small part of
Ooh,
the larger plan.
Vernestra.
Some sort of shift
Whoa.
to tip the scales.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
It's time to face the past.
Looks really good, man. Ooh, was that Oct 2?
Destiny is not decided.
Yeah, right? It kind of looks like
fully by an
Octo.
anonymous force.
Or Oct 2.
If you want to pull the thread and change everything, then pull it.
Whoa.
This music.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Oh,
What?
wow.
What did you say? That's
Dang.
That helmet is crazy.
That looks like just one big, like,
June 4th.
smile.
Whoa,
Yeah, that was really
it looks
cool.
like a skull almost.
Yeah, it
That's
does.
crazy.
Maybe I'm off, but it feels like my first impressions here are that like it feels like the most classic kind of Star Wars thing, but also really fresh at the same time. You know what I mean?
A
The
murder
way that-
mystery almost.
Right. Exactly. The style of how they're going about it feels really fresh. I mean, I've read murder mystery stuff in like Star Wars comics before. That's always like a really compelling way into this world. But yeah, you're right, Augustine. The fact that this is all a murder mystery, it's just like classic TV format too. Like, you know, each episode's gonna be like, who did it? What's happening as we unravel this mystery? But
Yes.
it's just like classic lightsabers and talking about the bigger picture of like what the Jedi do, what they represent, you know, that their peace
What the Force
in the
is,
galaxy
right?
is based on a lie. I love that stuff. I love when the Jedi Order can be challenged a little bit because it means characters can come out of it and they're either like stronger, sort of more in belief of what the ideals of the Jedi are, or it's complicated. It gets messy. You get characters like Ahsoka who come out the other end and they're like, I'm not going to be a Jedi. That's really interesting too. So
Yeah.
a win-win.
Yeah, and on top of that, you know, you're dealing with like the era where the Sith have always been around, but they're going to start their way of sort of like ascending to power in a lot of ways. So like, what does that even mean? We really don't know much about that other than what we've seen in Phantom Menace or what has been happening in some of the High Republic or pre-Phantom Menace novels and comic books. So it'll be cool to see what the show, because the show is really going to solidify and cement what the actual history of the pre-Phantom Menace era is in a lot of ways. Yeah, just the take, like you're saying, Hector, you know, what is it going to challenge about who the Jedi are, what they represent? How do the characters react to learning these things about the Jedi Order or their interpretation of how they think things actually happen? But then also dealing with like a new threat that is as powerful as them, but possesses an even darker, more sinister power. What the hell does all that mean? You know, if they're living in a world where they're mostly hands off and they kind of just operate in the background when they really need to be? What does it mean when they have to like really fully integrate themselves into a situation or other people's societies or whatever? That'll be. I also didn't realize that it was going to be a time jump in the show, which I think is pretty cool.
Oh yeah, we did see a little bit of a time jump. I'm rewatching it right now, and he hands a little child a lightsaber. So I'm guessing they're tied together in some way or another. I think Star Wars for me shines the best when it's very introspective, when it really talks about the Force specifically. And like, I think some of my favorite episodes were when like Yoda talks about the Force and is like training people in Rebels a little bit. He trains, not necessarily trains Ezra, but like kind of shows him what path he can take. And then when the father, the daughter, and the son like Force things happened in Clone Wars, it completely blows me away, because I think that concept of like this one Force running the entire universe is super interesting, because everybody can take it in a different way. And I think that's what really makes this story really interesting, is that everybody has their slight interpretations of what can happen and what will happen, and how they will manipulate the Force in their specific way. And I hope this show really kind of like dives into that, because it's super interesting to see everybody's take on it. I'm on the Freddie Prinze Jr. side. I don't know if people have heard of that Freddie Prinze Jr. side of the way he kind of talks about the Force, and that argument that he throws out there. I'm on his side, and anybody who's complaining about this show
information, not affirmation, dog. This is information, not affirmation.
Exactly. Everybody who is hating on the show can go suck an egg. They can go talk to their grandma about it. Like, I don't care what you think if you're on the other side of that conversation, because I think it should be open to conversation to everybody, not just like crapping all over what you think the show should be or can be or whatever. Like, the conversation should be open, just like the people who are experiencing the Force should be able to like, and just how like, not manipulate it, but like use it in the way that they need to.
Totally.
Just like how the conversation about that aspect of this story was also like an open conversation that George Lucas was having as he was making the original trilogy. Like, he made updates and changes to the concept of the Force. Yeah. You know, and then kind of redefined it with the prequels, and then kind of he went even further in with the Clone Wars animated series stuff. So when people say like, oh, the people making Star Wars stuff now don't have the right to go in and change or add to those concepts, I go, it's been added to from the beginning. And
yeah.
It's just the fact that it's not George Lucas doing it.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly. Which is like, and then when you point out like, but George Lucas did the same thing, people always are like, wow, it's different. It's like, no, it's about that conversation. It's about, you know, what's going to best serve the story you're trying to tell. And the last thing I'll say is, I love that Augustine brought him up. I think we're going to see Yoda in this, and I think it's going to be such an awesome
I really hope so.
I think it will be like not playing a big part, because Yoda does not play a big part in the High Republic stories that I've read or experienced. He's never really the focus. He's just like, Augustine, you were saying his presence in the Clone Wars, and, you know, or him talking to younglings and stuff, like that's the good stuff right there. That's the sweet sauce. Yeah. And I think we're going to get some Yoda sauce in this. And I'm very excited.
He's my favorite.
It looks
out of everything, man. Like, I think Yoda still to me stands out as like cream of the crop, probably my favorite character in all of Star Wars. Even though I geek out about like Santo and Mandalorian and stuff like that. Yoda still comes out on top.
I might be, that's a fun question to answer. I might still go the Han Solo / Cassian Andor type character is my favorite thing about Star Wars. But damn, dude, I love a Chewbacca. I love a Yoda. And Adam, I know your favorite guy has got to be Obi-Wan. Am I wrong? Is it still Obi-Wan?
Chewie and Obi-Wan are my two favorites.
Chewie?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Those are my guys.
Honorary Mexican. Adam Honorary Mexican.
But you're so right though. Like, I think that's the thing that I find interesting about newer Star Wars stuff. And yeah, like not all of it hits totally for me, you know, like even Obi-Wan Kenobi, there's things I love, things I don't like. Andor, for the most part, I really like. I think it is more interesting when your expectation isn't to just have stuff that we've already seen in the old legacy comic books and stories. It's taking some of those ideas, building them out, and also taking some of those characters and readapting them into the new Star Wars canon, basically. And finding interesting ways to telling or reshaping some of the stories, or some of what we think the stories are and could be, and who the characters are, because at the end of the day, I think it just makes Star Wars more interesting. And you may not agree with all the choices, which that's totally fine too. But I think if you're just going to poo-poo on the whole thing and say, well, everything that has been made after the prequel trilogy is garbage, then it's really hard to have an honest conversation with you about Star Wars.
You can't have an honest conversation. No, it's impossible.
I'm excited for it. So whatever.
This is gonna be
fuck
fun.
Everyone else.
I'm genuinely looking forward to this show. I think it's gonna bring some really cool stuff, and we'll criticize it as it comes out. But for now, I'm glad we got this more of a flavor, more of a taste of what the show is gonna be like, rather than the other trailer.
Yeah, and it's still pretty like ambiguous, which I do appreciate. I still don't feel like I know much, so I'm happy about that, and I hope it kind of stays that way until we start the show next month. Wow, in exactly 1 month. How is it already June? Right. What the hell?
I don't know, man. Stop.
Oh, Lord. Anyways, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Let us know what some of your favorite Star Wars lore is. Check out all the other reactions that we've been doing. X-Men 97. Check out all the Star Wars stuff too. We have Star Wars stuff dating back all the way to The Mandalorian Season 2. So if you, whether it's on YouTube or on Patreon, there's so much to catch up on. We will eventually get to Star Wars The Bad Batch Season 3 as well. I've heard great things about that, so I cannot wait to jump into that at some point. But check out all that other stuff. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Bye.